College Football Playoff Committee may think that Ohio State University do not deserve the number one place, but in terms of the 16th Street Racing League Series, all eyes are on OHIO here this evening as we welcome you to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the 2.25-mile circuit that nestles through this beautiful landscape and provides host for the second road course of the season. Verizon Countdown to Green here on RaceSpotTV on IndyCar.com and on iRacing Live is next. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Verizon Countdown to Green for this round number 4 of the 2015 16th Street Racing League from good old OHIO, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We are live on RaceSpotTV, on iRacing Live, and on IndyCar.com. Last time we were with you, we saw a crazy race at the Bullring Iowa Speedway, but now we go back to the road course. It's arguably the most difficult technical road course of the season. We know that some guys really need to get themselves back on track in terms of the championship. Tim Holgate, after winning the first 2 races of the season, well, he had a horrible day, as did Brandon Traino, as did Alex Simpson. It's all proved too much for Joshua Chin this season, as he announces that he's going to step aside at least the next couple of races and reevaluate his position. And for the drivers here that take on this racetrack, they need to know that just one wrong moment could end not only their race, but their chance of getting themselves into the top 5 in a championship. It seems to be that's all we're talking about today. It's playoffs, it's championships that everyone is looking forward. But let's start with the here and now as qualifying is underway for these drivers, and as always we split the field into 2s. We've got ourselves about half the field on track right now. Qualifying currently being led by Brandon Traino by 1/10 of a second over Matt Pavelski, Will Vincent, Aaron Likens, Paul Jenkins here as we kick off with Verizon Countdown to Green. Aaron, Iowa's in the books. We always said Iowa was going to be the tough race. Now, we're back to business. But we've got to make sure here today we get it right.
Yeah, get it right after the tough, difficult, almost controversial race last week. We now go to the road course, and I am hoping we have a repeat of what we saw at Barber 2 weeks ago between Holgate and Simpson. That was one of the most epic battles we've seen probably in any division on iRacing on the road course. And the practice times, if they're any indication, we're going to see that here today. This track, very difficult to pass, so I don't think it's too early to start talking about strategy on saving those pushes to pass till later in the race.
Push to pass is going to be an interesting one over the course of this event because drivers have limited use of it. They will have themselves 10 uses of the button over the course of this event. Now, we don't run a full race distance here today, but we run enough where pit stops will be important, strategy will be important, Paul. Qualifying is critically important at this racetrack. I would say of all the road courses we go to, pole position is worth so much more here than any of the other racetracks.
Oh, absolutely. And as Aaron had said before, very difficult to pass on this track, very technical track. Your advantage is going to come at enforcing errors on your opponents. You want to intimidate them on the track. You want to make sure that you're breaking their concentration. There's so much technicality to this track. So many elevation changes, so many blind corners, and grip is kind of at a premium here depending on, well, the weather today is we're looking at 92 degrees on the track temperature, so not too bad, pretty much optimum for this track. So we should see some really good racing here today. But pit strategy and passing are, since passing's on the track is at a premium, pit strategy may come into play heavily here.
Indeed so. Qualifying, well, as we said before, it's split into two separate 15-minute slots. These drivers will have themselves as many laps as they can get in their own 15-minute slot to go as fast as they possibly can. They go off the racetrack, well, that's it. Their lap is invalidated. There's nothing else they can do on that given lap. Having looked then at Brandon Trano, he currently works himself in the Steak and Shake car, of course. The last time we were at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course, it was all about Team Steak and Shake with Graham Rahal. Working out racing number 15 car, representing in towards turn number 1. And Aaron, I will say that Steak and Shake, that Maxim Steak and Shake car, really set the world on fire this year.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, nobody really would have thought that car would have been, well, Graham have the year that he had being a championship contender up until really the penultimate event. But maybe that's a sign for Brandon Trano here tonight. He was very competitive at Barber 2 weeks ago until a pit entry mistake cost him. Right now, going through the real technical section of the track, and as a driver, there's some corners that you can take 1,000 times and you just never feel like you get it right. This middle section at Mid-Ohio is like this, especially this right-hander coming down this hill. You really got to watch the throttle and the wheel spin there. Having a car in front of you, he's probably not enjoying the Sierra push, and this seemingly never-ending right-hander, very difficult to maintain composure. And two different strategies. He spins out at the final corner. I was just about to say two strategies coming onto the main straightaway here. Some drivers will short shift, be in a taller gear to not get the wheel spin. Not as fast, but you're not going to risk that wheel spin as you go down the dip.
Yep, there you can see Eric Davis in the number 65 Banshee Auto Sport car heading himself, and he's also going to loop it around here. Cold tyres do seem to be an incident for some of these drivers so far. Let's look at Tim Doyle. He's going slowly. He's working himself on an out lap right now in that Snake Pit Racing number 11 machine. As you can see, the times on the left-hand side of your screen so far for the drivers who have completed something in qualifying. 12 drivers have set themselves to time. Brandon Trano leading by 68 1,000ths of a second from Matt Pavelski. But then you see, Aaron, the gap from Pavelski to De Jong is just huge.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second. And really, in practice, only 3 drivers were in the 106 bracket. That'd be Alex Simpson, who will be qualifying in about 4 minutes, Trano, and Pavelski. So right now, 3 drivers, and I think I might have missed Holgate. Was he in the 106?
Yeah, he'll be out in the next session.
I was saying in practice, Holgate just missed out on the 106. So really 4 drivers within about half a second in warm-up, although Holgate, we've seen this year, warm-up means nothing to him. He always shows a little bit more in qualifying. But, yeah, right now 700 separates first to second, and then over half a second back to third, and then another 7/10 of a second third to fourth.
Yeah, and there is a look at Mikel de Jong in the Mad Cape Racing number 5 machine as he heads himself then down into that final corner. Let's have a look at his exit speed. Is he going to be able to get himself past the stripe? Yes, he will. Let's have a look at his lap time then. He's starting himself onto a lap right now. And I've always been the first couple of corners, it's okay, Aaron. And then you got yourself turn number 5. If you can make it through 5, you just settle down a little bit.
Yeah, and this track is all about the rhythm. And as Paul was talking about making the driver in front of you make a mistake, if you run your line perfectly, the car behind you can be half a second faster and be unable to do anything with you here. I like to say this track is a driver's dream and a racer's nightmare. Very difficult from where de Jong is right now on the track. There is really, unless the driver makes a catastrophic error, there's really nothing you can do to make a pass. Now, coming down this hill, you might be able to get a run, but going side by side into this uphill left-hander is never a good idea. So, all the while, if you're faster than the car in front of you, you just have to wait. You may be able to get him on this short, what is the main straightaway, but pretty much it is going into the keyhole and going into turn 5. That is the spots to pass.
Yeah, and he didn't go any faster at all then, so it's him now, still in that third place. Eric Davis runs himself in P number 4 right now, in the number 65 car. But Matt Pavelski, we've not really talked about the most colourful car on the grid, Paul. But he's going out for what's going to be his final run in qualifying. Brandon Trainer is going to go out for his final run in qualifying right behind. This is going to see a little bit of gamemanship, potentially.
It could potentially. They don't want to be near to each other for this for qualifying purposes. The draft is only good for so much here, but if Traino times it right, he might be able to get a little bit of help here. But yeah, looking at Pavelski's time, he's looks like he's struggling a little bit, but he may have made some adjustments in the pits, and we'll take a look here. I wanted to point out while we're watching these cars that a place to watch is that turn 13, right out of the carousel and onto the pit straight. Very difficult to get traction down there and I think we're going to see a lot of driver errors coming out of that corner, especially when the tires start to get very worn. Trying to get your power down out of that corner, you can very easily induce wheel spin there and it cause the car to fishtail or slow down, and a heads-up driver can certainly take advantage of that error.
Well, there you can see the play clock on the top of your screen will show 20 seconds remaining. Both these drivers will just get past the stripe in time. We're going to ride then on board Matt Pavelski, heading himself down into turn number 1. First corner, that's complete. He's okay so far. Now, he's got to run it down into the keyhole. Turn number 2. Want to get yourself a nice wide exit into the corner, tighten it up, then get power down and corner exit. There's traffic ahead of him. That could well prove to be a decisive factor in this qualifying. The checkered flag is out for Session A. So, guys in Session B will be heading themselves out onto the track momentarily. It's Eric Davis who is ahead of Matt Pavelski. Pavelski is closing through the trying to bend wiggle on that race car as he now comes through into turn number 7 on track. And you can see he still continues to gain in relation to Eric Davis. Now he'll come out underneath the Westfield Insurance Bridge, right-hander, before he flicks it left, heading down towards the carousel. Davis is going slowly. That's going to mess up the lap for Pavelski. Pavelski's lap is done. He will not be able to go for pole. Let's have a look now at Brandon Traino. He brings the car on towards pit road. Of course, Traino can tell he's got provisional pole. And Paul, Eric Davis there. Well, Eric's entitled to do his own lap, but it just seemed to be he was so slow there.
Well, and the error at the second to last corner certainly didn't help Davis. Pushed a little wide on that left-hander, and Pawelski just came right up on him. You could tell that Pawelski was trying to keep into the power, but Eric was neither clear of the track nor really on the track, so Pavelski had no choice but to hit the brakes and forfeit his lap.
Yep. As we now turn our attention to Group B and Alex Simpson in the Apex Racing UK car. We expect him to be in the 106s. We expect Tim Holgate to be doing exactly the same. Well, there is Alex Simpson. We're going to ride on board with him as he heads down in towards the keyhole for his first flying lap. And you'd almost expect some of these guys to put a banker in. Alex Simpson, of course, is a driver in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. You can see that black stripe upon his helmet. He runs in the world's biggest road racing open wheel series. That is the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And it is worth taking a moment to remember that the Pro Series of Road Racing, the final step on the journey to the big leagues of the World Championship Series, well, that one starts this coming Saturday on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. We get ourselves 55 of the world's biggest up-and-coming drivers. We place them in a 10-race schedule, and we make them battle for just 25 golden tickets to the World Championship Series. It's with you every step of the way on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, as here then comes Simpson, 106.501. The first bite of the cherry is good. It's pretty darn good, but only good for P3 right now. Let's see what the driver of Tim Holgate can do. He is on a lap as we speak. He needs to push right now, Aaron.
Yes, he does. And one of the things that, from some of the other drivers, the lap that we saw Simpson, the beautiful thing about Simpson's driving is he does everything once. Turn in once, well, on entry, hit the brakes once, turn once, get back on the gas once, straighten out once. If you're sawing the wheel, it may look fast, it may look cool, but it's not fast whatsoever. Holgate also has that smoothness, very smooth, everything just one fluid motion. This track very rhythm based. You're almost dancing with this racetrack. You want to do everything once, precise. And Holgate, I said in warm up, only capable of a 107.06, but oftentimes he is, as he goes wide and he's pushing at that lap. So that lap's going to be nullified. Still has 12 minutes to go as a car spins in front of him. That was Holgate gonna have to try it once more.
Yeah, and he's actually going to try it on cold, dirty tyres here.
Oh.
11 minutes then remaining of qualifying. We're going to step aside. We'll take your RaceSpotTV side by side as the rising countdown to green with qualifying will continue. Hey, sometimes commercials so good you have to see it twice, right? Isn't that what all the big networks do? Welcome back then to Verizon Countdown to Green here on RaceSpotTV, on iRacing Live, and on IndyCar.com. Don't forget the Corvette C7 DP. Beautiful car. Beautiful car. It is here. It's now. The Toyota Camry. Well, we want to talk a little bit less about NASCARs because, you know, Paul, we once again are going head-to-head against the NASCAR Pro Series. We are competitive. Where else you'd rather be on a Tuesday night but here? You can watch the NASCAR Pro Series on demand.
Well, you get it all here in iRacing. Any kind of car you can think of, pretty much. Sports cars, V8 supercars, Indy cars. You know, it's a great service, and really, if you don't have it, if you're not an iRacer, I absolutely recommend giving it a shot. You will be hooked. It's fantastic. And the testament is the pro drivers that use it. And speaking of the pro drivers, of course, we do have Simon Pagenaud on the track today. Also Kyle Kaiser, again, visiting us. But watching Simon now trying to make it around the track. A lot of traffic he's dealing with.
Yeah, so here we are having a look at Alex Simpson in the Apex Racing UK car. We're just having a look on board of him then, as he continues this journey to try and get himself to the top of the timing stands. Whilst we were away, he did do a lap and he moved himself up into P2. We ride on board then with that number 14 car, the GT Omega Apex Racing UK car. Of course, we expect him to be fast. This team has a technical partnership with Broken Arrow Racing, so a lot of the setup knowledge will be transferred between these two teams, and we do expect these two teams to be strong here today. Out then of the carousel will come Alex Simpson, as he will dart himself towards the line. Will he be able to improve as he comes towards the stripe? Alex Simpson searching, and he's not going to be able to do it. He remains in P2 for the time being. Let's have a look at Holgate. Holgate is coming out of pit road. 6 minutes left of qualifying, and I don't know why, Aaron. This one sounds as though it's going to roll into a rumbling crescendo.
Yeah, Alex Simpson's 3 laps. Listen to this: 106.5 flat, 106.467, 106.502. 3 laps with only 35 thousandths of a second separating them. Talk about consistency. Now, if he can do another just 35 thousandths to the other way, he will be on pole. The difference between first and second here, as you said, pole position, so vital at this track. You want that position. Simpson wants it. This is getting down to crunch time. He might have 1, 2 more attempts. He knows right now he's in second. I say unless Holgate improves by half a second, Simpson probably going to start second. He has the chance at pole, though. And when a driver knows they have the good lap in the bank, they can push it. But when you know you can push it, sometimes you are going to go over the edge and slow yourself down just that tick. The lap starts right here. He needs to get off this hill, as Paul said, very nicely across the line, and the lap begins. Will this be the run for the pole?
Yeah, as that you just saw, Tim Holgate, he didn't get a lap started well. He just bounced onto the grass. So we turn our attention back to Simpson. Through the keyhole, he will come once again, and let's have a listen then as he gets himself on board of him on the run down into the China Bend. Let's have a listen to the engine note. Let's experience the next couple of corners on board with Alex Simpson. Still seems to have the smoothness. Let's see if that will carry on through this lap. He is pushing to the limit, but you've got to be smooth around this racetrack. You push, you're losing lap time all the way through it. Just a couple of corners left to go. He will get himself 1 run minimum after this one. So let's have a look. Exit now of that final corner. He's got himself a 106.443 to beat. Can he do it? Yes, he can.
Oh,
Simpson to the top of the time stand. And of course, remember, Traino cannot respond. Simpson, provisional pole position. Now, the question's going to be, what can Tim Holgate do in the number 6 car? It won't be this lap, but we do expect his next lap to be some form of attack of its own, Paul.
And really, you were mentioning with this track, you can't, the harder you push, the slower you get. It is counterintuitive to the maximum. You really have to, the best way to describe it is you really have to massage the speed out of this track. There's so many followays here. There's so many ways to get your car bent out of shape. But not so much that, you know, gross errors are one thing, but the fine errors are what's going to get you here. And it looks like Alex finally managed to smooth it out enough to where he was able to eke out that great speed. You know, watching Tim Holgate here, you can see the car just kind of pushes out right there, and this really ultra slow corner, you know, you think you want to go faster than you really can on this track, and if you push it as hard as you want to push it, you can't squeeze any more speed out of it. You have to massage it out.
Tim Holgate then, he is at the end of the lap. There's 3 minutes remaining on the clock. So Holgate will likely do this one, bring it on pit road, then go out for one more run. You've got yourself 1/10 of a second separating 3 drivers. Can Holgate put himself into the conversation? He heads himself towards start finish line. It's a slow one. It's only 108.972 there for Holgate. So he is struggling so far in this qualification session. Simpson's back out on track, but this right now seems to be more of a test session, Paul. Alex Simpson knows that Pavelski and Traino can't respond. He knows that Holgate so far in this session has just been a little bit off pace.
And Simpson may be out trying to just get some insurance. The fast one's in the books. Now let's go ahead and fire off a few and see what we can really make this thing do. There's no risk in him pushing at this point to try and get those faster laps. In the contrary, Holgate's kind of getting into desperation mode here. 2 minutes, 23 seconds. He's on the second lap on these tires, and tires fade fast in this place. You don't have a lot of work here, and it looks like Tim is really kind of pushing that car. Getting a little sloppy, and it looks like he's off of it now.
Yep, so he'll bring that car onto pit road, get himself ready for one more lap to go. Brian Karzeski there in the number 56 machine. When we talk about colourful, we see some very colourful skis over the course of the series. This one I think is right up there with Matt Pavelski's in terms of the most colourful that we have in the series, Aaron.
Yes, absolutely. I think every color on the spectrum is on the wings of that car. A very you can't miss that car. You really can't. Really got to applaud that paint scheme.
Yeah, and for those of you that can't see what it says on the rear wing, we'll cycle it around for you because we like doing that. It says, "A head full of dreams," there to ride ourselves on board with Brian Karzeski in the 7 Autosport number 56 car, heading himself. He's currently in P number 10, so he's inside of your top 10, trying to improve in relation to Simon Pagenaud right now. Pagenaud is about a half 10 second faster. We are going to focus our attention back onto Tim Holgate. Let's see, is he on a flying lap? He's kind of on a flying lap. This is one that's just a little bit better for him. Underneath the Westfield Insurance Bridge, he will come, heading himself down towards the carousel. Desperation mode now for Tim Holgate. Can he? He pushes a little bit wide, but he pushes himself onto the asphalt strip. Needs to get the final corner. He pushes wide. It's all over for Tim Holgate, and he has been trying that so often. It's all done for him now. Tim Holgate will not be able to get himself pole position here today. Qualifying for the best of terms is in the books. Kyle Kaiser is on track. Joe Branch is on track. Bradley Walters is on track. But the big story, under pressure, Tim Holgate, he cracks, Aaron.
Yeah, it looks, going back with what Paul said about this track, massaging this track. Another way I like to phrase it, John Morgan, the U.S. bobsledder broadcaster, a lot of times on the broadcast, he'll say, in the sport of bobsledding, you can't help yourself, you can only hurt yourself. That is a good way to really describe this racetrack. And the more you fight it, the more you push it, as Holgate did. Each lap he went out, he progressively got slower, trying to go faster. Alex Simpson, his really quick lap looked effortless. You're trying to go fast at this track, as Holgate, as we saw coming off the final corner, you're going to make mistakes. And the dangerous thing about this track is one mistake leads to another, then you really start trying hard, and then your crew is going to be trying really hard to fix your car because you're going to hit something eventually.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude Verizon Countdown to Green here today as we get ourselves ready for this evening's event. Let's have a look at your starting grid then for this round number 4 of the 2015 16th Street Racing League here on IndyCar.com. And you can see out front, it is all going to be about Alex Simpson. Apex Racing UK, qualifying time 106.237. He does go faster in the end, and he makes himself a big statement against Brandon Traino in that broken arrow racing car. 2 tenths of a second, and the gap between P1 and P2. Inside of row number 2 will be Matt Pavelski for Broken Arrow, and then Snake Pit Racing's Tim Holgate on the outside of that second row. We head on back Mikel de Jong in P5, Christopher Demara in 6th, Borkenhagen and Davies, they are round number 4. Carl Kaiser, Simon Pagenaud in row 5, Ryan Karzeski, Martin Miller in row 6. Then Christian Steele, Joe Branch, Tim Doyle ran out your top 15. Remainder of your starting grid for this event coming up on your screen. 25 drivers taken to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. If you missed the announcement last week about the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series, don't worry, we've got you covered.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular undulating Barber Motorsports Park Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle. And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the Air America. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader. In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto and the green flag flies.
Where he's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the west.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now.
He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
Over Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You can see these guys are already going. Race control, let them go early. They're free wide as they head themselves down in towards turn number 2 at the keyhole. We think someone just got the call wrong at the start. They were supposed to wait until they got themselves onto the back straightaway, but they are going already. And well, we're setting ourselves up for a 45 lap race. Free wide into the keyhole. What a way to start this race, but they all get themselves going eventually. I think some people there were just caught napping. Brandon Trainer, Tim Holgate was your biggest gainer in that one, up into P3 ahead of Matt Pavelski. Now it's going to be interesting to see what will happen over the course of the opening laps of this event. Down your field, you got yourself side-by-side racing. Bradley Walters battling out with the likes of Christian Steele, Brandon Trost. You can see Trost has got himself Jack Turner for company as well. These guys, they're going to be slip-sliding around on this opening lap. The good thing for them is they did get a little bit of heat into their tyres, but it's a short pace lap here at Mid-Ohio. And Alex Simpson out front, he is flexing his muscles, Paul, already 0.9 of a second out front.
Alex Simpson definitely putting some space between the competition back there. Brendan Traino and Tim Holgate kind of caught napping a little bit there, or rather Pawlowski caught napping a little bit. He is driving angry, it looks like, at this point. He was really putting on the pressure on the first lap. Looks like he might have sorted himself out now and is just thinking about the long haul at this point. But a very crazy start to this race.
Yeah, there you can see Tim Doyle, Gary Borkenhagen. They're battling pretty much nose to tail as it stands. This is for P number 11 and P12, the 099 machine there. Broken arrows, Gary Borkenhagen battling out with a Snow Pit racing car there of Tim Doyle. This is outside of your top 10, but to go back into your top 10, Tim Holgate right now runs himself in P3. Brandon Trainer runs himself in P2. Alex Simpson in P1. These are 3 championship contenders. Track position, we always talk about how critical it is, not only throughout the race, but especially at the start. These guys have got to make sure they don't put a foot wrong like we saw at Barber Motorsports Park. And I think today it'll be a case, Aaron, of who makes the least mistakes in this event as we go on board then with Tim Holgate trying to battle it out with Brandon Traino for P2.
Indeed, we had a near mistake on that starting lap, but going into the keyhole, Matt Pavelski went 3 wide on the outside, got in the grass, almost reminiscent of his save at Barber in turn 1. So back-to-back road course lap 1 near misses for Pavelski. Traino right now, he's watching Simpson just inch away. Holgate's really in the dangerous spot because he wants to keep Traino in his sights, but at the same time, he has immense pressure from Pavelski, and I think Pavelski really wants this spot on the straightaway. It looked like potentially Pavelski might have used one of his push to pass. We can't tell when drivers do that, but right now, Holgate's dropping a wheel off every so often right now, so Holgate really feeling the pressure from Pavelski, and not as much as Traino's feeling on Holgate.
Yeah, there we can see P3 is Holgate, P2 is Traino. Traino already, though, with a 1.4 second deficit to Alex Simpson as they head themselves through turn number 2, the keyhole once again. We'll say it again from the outgo. These guys will have use of push to pass throughout the course of this event. They can use that 10 times. And you can see that Pavelski to the outside of the driver of Tim Holgate. He is on the button. He is up into P number 3. And that shows you the straight line speed advantage. We'll have another look on board of Pavelski in a minute, but he goes very slow there through the China bends and holds up quite heavily. Holgate, and that's the thing, the overspeed, it makes a big difference. Gonna get ourselves another look then on board with Matt Pavelski. This is him, and you can see he's about 4 car lengths back at this point. Hits the button. It is literally like a turbo boost. Bump to the outside. Bump, he goes past. But then the issue seemed to be that he just got his braking a little bit wrong in the middle part of the China bend. And that just backed Holgate up a little bit there. As you can see, he lost some time to Brandon Traino out front. But Pavelski now up into P3 in that number 75 Broken Arrow car. Pavelski is on the move and push the pass and pull. 10 uses of it. You can use it anytime you want. Some guys will front load it to get track position. Other guys will try and save it to the end of the race. And of course, we saw that at this year's Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio.
And we did. Indeed, we did. It's a very critical portion of the strategy of this race. When do you use those weapons? The push to pass. And looks like definitely Pavelski was tired of being stuck behind Holgate. You can see that he's starting to move away from Holgate. So clearly he knew he was faster than Holgate. And it was probably a wise choice for him to go ahead and use that so that he doesn't lose touch with Alex too far. And looks like he may be gaining a little bit on Traino here. If so, just a little bit. But Traino may have to start thinking defense again here.
Yeah, and of course these two guys are teammates. It'll be interesting to see what will happen in terms of these two guys whether working together or fighting against each other. 5 out of 45 already in the books. Now 6 of 45 currently being worked on here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It is Simpson who leads from Traino, Pavelski, Holgate, and Merritt. They are your top 5. One driver, Aaron, so far is out of this event, and that is Paul Jennings. We believe didn't start as we've got side-by-side between Kyle Kaiser and Joe Brunson. Kaiser goes around there on the exit of turn number 1.
Wow, and Kaiser was really putting a lot of pressure out there and made a great move for a pass, but when he got out on the power, turning and look at this fracas behind him trying to get around him, but when he hit the power, that's what I'm talking about with the wheel spin coming out of these corners. You really got to watch that.
Yeah, we got
at the curb.
Look.
At the curb.
So we're getting ourselves another look then of Kyle Kaiser, and this is down in towards turn number 1. Let's listen. You got it perfect, Aaron. He just caught that curve that separates the racetrack from pit road in turn number 1. He hit it, upset the balance of the race car. He gets turned around. That essentially is, well, him now having to have a long day of trying to come back for the field. He's all the way down now in P number 20 on track.
Long day ahead, of course. Indy Lights driver, that curb in turn 1, you can use it. but you can't hit the start of it, or it's going to jump the left front tire up in the air, and when it lands, the rear end's going to swap ends, just as we saw. We will see some drivers really use it at the
Trost had an accident. Trost there, final corner. Trost into the wall. Trost is out of the race there in that Mario Kart car. He's going to have to find a way of getting it off track. Of course, we saw the dangers of drivers trying to remove their car from the racetrack, but the final corner bite substantially for the first time here today. Brandon Trost, who was battling it out of Christian Steele, P13, P14 on track, Aaron. Brandon Trost in that 007 car is out of the race.
And that is, I mentioned that in the pre-race, some drivers will use a taller gear. They will short shift between 12 and 13 so they can put the power down and not spin the tires. I think he was smelling blood with the car in front of him, thinking, okay, I can make a move here. But when you get aggressive right at that dip, if you have too much power down, the rear end's going to swap immediately. And for Brandon Trost, he experienced that the hard way.
Yep, so as it stands, Brandon Trainer's going to have to bring that car on pit road. Substantial damage to that machine. He will be out of this event pretty much certainly now. Out front, though, the gap, we're just having a look at it between Simpson and Traino. 2.3 seconds right now. And last time by, 107.5 for Simpson, 107.7 for Brandon Traino. In fact, the fastest guy on the racetrack is Tim Holgate. Actually, last time by was right there lap time wise, Paul, with Alex Simpson, just 2/1000ths of a second separating those two drivers on their last timed lap.
Well, at this point, Holgate has enough space around where he can concentrate on just making time and getting cars, driving the car. Whereby Traino and Powelski, they're close enough to each other now that they're in a battle. And if this keeps up for much longer, it's going to be seconds before Holgate gets into that mix. And we're going to see another three-car battle develop here.
Yeah, and actually Pavelski's now right on the rear of Brandon Trainer. Will we see Pavelski use the bottom on the exit of turn 2 like we've seen him done already? Let's ride along board with him as he comes down in towards the keyhole. And he wants to get himself a good run on the exit of the keyhole. The issue is, he doesn't go there. He will, at that point, it's like a play caller, Paul. What you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, not this lap. I'm not going to waste the use of the button. I'll wait until the next lap. Then I'll have one more go and I'll try and do it again.
Well, Powelski really had to make a decision there. It looked like when he came out of the keyhole, the car just danced around a little bit. He just lost a little bit of the traction. Getting out of the corners is so critical to the decision using push to pass or not. You have to be at least coast speed with the car in front of you for it to make any difference. If you come off of that corner at a deficiency, all you're going to do is just make up the deficiency, and it's going to be a waste of the button. So good call on Matt to just kind of bide his time here and just stay real close to Brandon Traino here. And the next time he gets out of the keyhole, watch for him to mash that button.
Two people have moved up 2 places inside the top 10 so far. They are Brian Klaseski in the 7 Motorsports car and Simon Pagano in the number 2 Team 22 Team Penske machine. As we've had ourselves Tim Doyle, he's moved up a couple of places as well in that number 11 machine, running himself in a P number 11 right now. Having a look outside your top 5, drivers trying to get themselves into the top 5. You got yourself Mikel de Jong right now in the number 5 Mad Cape Racing team, battling it out with the driver of Christopher Demerit. One thing that does get me at this racetrack, though, is the gap in lap time between your top couple of runners, Aaron, and then the guys in P3, P4. Now, no disrespect to the guys in P4, P5 right now, but they're a second off the pace of your leaders.
Yeah, obviously the top 4 have found something here. At Barber, it wasn't this big of a discrepancy. Could be setup, could be that this track is the most technical. Also, this track punishes just minor mistakes, and as I said, the harder you try, that's a difference. That's the real beauty of Simpson's driving right now, is just the ease. Whereas these drivers mid-pack might not be handling correctly, might be having to do 2 inputs per corner. A second sounds like a lot, but at 13 turns, that's less than a tenth of a second loss per corner. So, in one hand, a second in racing is a long time, but when you really break it down by corner, not that much, but over a long race, it does add up. So, looks like a lot, but really, they are just so close to the top 5. But just if you lose half, just a couple hundredths per corner, over the course of a lap, it adds.
Yeah, having a look at Carl Casey trying to come back through the field right now. And he's battling it out with Terry Mattinson. And he's going to come down into turn 1. Of course, he had his spin down at turn 1. He goes around the outside there of Terry Mattinson. That was all easy and academic when all was said and done. So Kaiser now up a position in that number 18 machine, of course. He's been up and down in the field here today. And, of course, in these situations, a real-world experience will always come through. These guys, sometimes they just want to get themselves back into the groove. As just ahead, we've got Tim Willis there in the Races for Christ.
We got Pagano. Pagano, half spin, trying to get around Eric Davis in a place that typically we don't see passes made. I think he's going to be okay. Might have a little front wing damage, but that was in corner 12. Went to a place that most drivers are not going to expect to pass. And the door was shut. Pagano made contact, half spin, no positions lost, but a lot of time lost.
Yeah, we're actually having a look then on board with Pagano as he works himself down into the carousel. You can see he just, very close one actually, there just gets himself turned around. We don't think there's any damage to that race car. It was a late lunge, we have to say there, for the number 22 Team Penske car of Simon Pagano. Of course, the number 22 teams doesn't seem to have had much luck, shall we say, Aaron, over the last couple of days.
Oh, and yeah, definitely not a good number to have at the moment. But speaking of, we just talked about real-world experience. Do you think potentially had Pagano pulled that move off in real life here at Mid-Ohio, would the driver in front have had the wherewithal to know that that car's coming through, give way? Because on iRacing, that's not a place we typically see passes done.
Well, to be fair, this is Mid-Ohio. You don't really pass anywhere. But
fair enough.
I think that's a mixture of things there for Pagano. I think he knows this racetrack very well. He knows that there is an opportunity to pass down into that carousel corner in a way that sim races don't as much. But yes, Paul.
Kyle Kaiser out of the race. Looks like he lost it here kind of by the China bends and kind of nose it into the wall, and he's out.
Yeah, we're just going to possibly get the back end of this one. We'll try and rewind our tape back just a little bit further. Kyle Kaiser, of course, he was trying to move himself back for the field, and it doesn't end up working for him. Replay them as he comes down in towards the China bend, and one of our real-world drivers is out in the early game to finish the conversation there. I think with Pagano, of course, it's always different when you're running in real world compared to sim racing. It's that fear factor as well. You're always checking your mirrors more in real world racing. On the exit of China bend, so you can see there Kyle Kaiser just away from our screen. He is out of the race. His day is done. 2 retirees so far, Kyle Kaiser and Brandon Trost. As another Brandon Trano has kind of stemmed the bleeding right now to Alex Simpson out front. Last time by actually was faster, the fastest guy on track that last time by with Tim Holgate. Lap traffic is already proving to be a bit of a factor. That is Michael Peters there, who Brandon Trano is going to have to find himself past in a moment's time, Aaron.
And to the inside of Vic Caudell, and that is not a place you want to catch a lap car. Thankfully, Vic, the seasoned veteran he is, knew to get out of the way. Had he not got out of the way, I think Trano would have been going through the gearbox there, but that's going to be some time lost. He gained some time the previous lap when the leader had to deal with it. That lap he lost as Pavelski is going to go off sequence. He's going to make an early pit stop.
Yeah, and also Holgate's going to join him then. So 2 drivers, and of course we're at lap 15 of 45. We are at 1/3 distance. These guys coming onto pit road a little bit early. They know that lap traffic can be a factor in this event. You see both of these guys coming on towards pit road at exactly the same time. Pit stop counter then for Pavelski. Can Holgate try and do something? Will he try and come out a little bit early in short fill? No, he won't be able to do so. 8-second stop there for Pavelski. 8.1 second stop for Tim Holgate. They come out nose to tail, and that was so close there. Coming back onto track. Tim Holgate, you could see the wiggle. We're going to go on board with him. They do get a little bit of clear traffic. That is Simon Pagano right behind, but Holgate almost binned his race, and that could have been the 2nd week in a row Holgate would have had issues, Paul.
Holgate really was trying to get on it. He knew that his window for advantage was very, very short there, and he figured his best chance of getting Pawelski was right there at that first corner. So you could tell he really pushed it hard. The car just wiggled a little bit, heads up driving by Holgate to keep the car under him. But in the pits, you saw that 1/10 of a second was enough to give Pawelski what he needed to stay in front of Holgate. Everything in the pits counts.
That potentially, could he have been on the button right there, because could have caught Pavelski napping, and cold tires in the button to push to pass might not be the best combo.
Yeah, indeed so. And of course, these cars do not have tire blankets, virtual tire blankets, call it what you will.
Oh, demerit.
Yep, so, well, to be fair, everyone is due in now in the next couple of laps. In fact, Alex Simpson is on pit road as well. You just see he is out and away, 7.6 seconds for Alex Simpson. Then you've got yourself Brandon Traynor, 7.7 second pit stop. He comes out, and you can see the gap between himself and Matt Pavelski. It's back down to within a couple of car lengths right now. Tim Holgate's made a stop. Pavelski's made a stop. This is actually for position with Eric Davis. So Davis does not need to let anyone pass. Down to the inside, China bend. That is Traynor. Pavelski there, and there's a car around as well, and all of that. That's Michael Peters, and Traynor gets hit there. Traynor gets hit as it was all coming together at the same time. You had yourselves the driver of Michael Peters off track. You had yourself then Traynor being passed by Pavelski. He gets turned down into the China bend. He makes contact with Holgate. It's all kicked off in just one corner, just like we expected it to, Aaron.
Yes, that corner has had many famous incidents in it. Ray Hall and Zanardi, I think, come to mind there in that corner. If I'm not mistaken, that corner has seen a lot of spins, and there, Traynor just spun a little bit. Holgate got into him, and Holgate looks like he does have some front wing damage. Yes, the left front wing is crumpled in. That will affect that car, and at a track that you want downforce. This is going to be a long stint if he decides to stay out.
I need to make it clear, Traynor lost it all by himself there in that number 15 broken aero car. We're going to get ourselves one more look if we can from our aerial coverage. We'll slow it down for you as these guys head themselves down into the China bend. It's always a difficult portion of the racetrack to try and show. But here we are then. 2-1. You notice left-hand side of your screen, that is Michael Peters. He's had himself his own incident. But now coming out of the first section of the China bend, notice that number 15 car, it's already turning by itself there, clips the side, the right rear of that number 75 car. Now you're going to see Tim Holgate coming into view there into your screen. Nothing that Traynor could have done. He does the first rule of racing, get that car still before you try and move it around. But Traynor and Holgate are carrying on. Traynor has moved himself back up some positions because Eric Davis and Simon Pagano have just come on towards pit road. So, Paul, these guys now are going to have to try and reset things just a little bit. But Traynor, 6.2 seconds behind Tim Holgate. We seem to have lost Paul. We'll come back to him in a moment's time. Aaron?
Oops, sorry.
Over to you.
Yeah, so Holgate's time that lap, a 108.0, so not that far off the pace. So whatever damage he has, very minor. And also Matt Pavelski got very lucky. He got clipped right really in the side pod. Had that been just a little bit further behind, that would have caught the suspension, and that would have been definitely race over for Pavelski. So really 3 lucky drivers in that incident.
Well, here we are then. Your current race leader is Mikel de Jong. If you can get to lap 23, he might be able to do it on a one-stop strategy. He's the only person in your top 6 drivers thinking about a one-stop. He's got to do, as I say, to the end of lap number 22, in theory, have any shot of doing so, Paul. But then, his second stint, he's going to be so heavy with fuel that he's going to get gobbled alive.
We got another spin.
Yeah, so
Traynor just went around again.
Yeah, and you can see that's there at turn number 1. So, we'll come back to the point back de Jong in a moment's time. We'll get ourselves another look at Brandon Traynor, and let's have a look at this one then. Down in towards turn 1, his second really big one of the day as he catches the curb there, center of the corner. That broken arrow number 15 car being turned, well, turning himself around there. Steak and Shake Machine not having a good day, going from bad to worse for him. But to turn our attention back to de Jong, Paul, he's going to get gobbled alive once he makes his pit stop. He's losing lap time every single lap, and he's going to have a heavier race car in his second stint.
Yeah, I don't know that we can really stretch this to one fewer stop, but De Jong's going to give it a shot here. But he is really losing a gob of time to the faster guys at this point in the race. And I'm not sure exactly the wisdom of this, but maybe Michael knows something we don't. I was going to mention, before I noticed my mic wasn't working, that the question with Trino and Holgate is going to be now car damage. Looks like Holgate's car is fine. Looking at his lap times, it doesn't look like he took too much damage there. But Trino, hard to tell whether he's just pushing too hard or whether he's got something going on with that car. Getting T-bone on the side, certainly something must have been deranged there, but looks like he's pressing on quite well.
Yeah, Randall on board. Randy Cosmo in P number 15 right now, trying to catch up to the rear of Jack Turner. This is a scrap going on for P number 14 and 15 on track. I will say one thing though, attrition has been low here today, Paul. Really, only Brandon Troskal, Kaiser, and Christian Steele being classified as out of the race, and we are almost now at 1/2 racing distance.
Young in.
Yeah,
and De Jong is right. De Jong is into the pitch now, going Equius here with lap 20. But we are seeing some very heads-up driving here. People are very careful not to drive over their heads, especially further back in the course. We're seeing some small errors, but nothing really grievous. And I think that these guys really do respect the track, respect the technicality of this track, and a lot of these guys are just trying to survive to the end here.
Well, there we can see then exit of pit road. There is Mikel de Jong right on board of him. As you can see, he will come back out in the 5th position, and it looks as though he's got himself about a second advantage over the guy which is behind him. That is Brandon Traynor, actually 3.7 seconds. That's lap traffic between himself and Brandon Traynor right now. Here's a look at your top 8 so far. Simpson leads by 4.1 seconds over Matt Pavelski. Then you got yourself Tim Holgate, he's in 3rd. Christopher Demeritt in 4th. Mikel de Jong in 5th. Traynor, Davis, and Pagano round out your top 8. We're going to step aside for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take you RaceSpotTV side by side, and we shall be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this, the 16th Street Racing League. Don't forget, the RaceSpotTV Pro Series of Road Racing kicks off this coming Saturday, as some drivers will take their final journey on the road to the RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series. That is right here on RaceSpotTV and also on iRacing Live. I am obligated to tell you as well that we are starting tonight on the NASCAR Pro Series. Coverage of that being presented by LSR TV. It's on iRacing Live. Watch it on demand and stick it with us here on RaceSpotTV in the interim. That's the best way to spend your Tuesday night. The Races for Christ, a number 91 machine there of Tim Miller coming out of pit road right now. So, new paint scheme there. As you can see, also, you got yourself Michael Peters coming on towards pit road in the number 3 Miller Lite Verizon machine. So, he's going to make what will be one pit stop only today. Of course, Michael Peters is down a couple of places in this field. Vic Cordell doing exactly the same in that DHL number 33 machine. Simpson continues to lead the way. Well, it's changed in terms of the championship. And what this is going to do, if it was to finish right now, Aaron, we've got ourselves a three-way battle as far as the championship goes, because we know Trainer will be strong when we go back to an oval in a week's time, but we know that Simpson is the guy to beat on a road course. He's proving that today, that he is that guy to beat.
He is the guy to beat, and for Trano, he is in 6th right now, within striking distance of 5th and 4th, so 2 major errors. He's very lucky to still be in this race, so he can still salvage a very decent and respectable 4th place. So the damage here might not be as catastrophic as it definitely could have been. Simpson, though, he's leading the way. He's showing right now why he does have the black stripe. Pulling away ever so slowly. Lead was up to 4 seconds, now down to 3.2. Lap traffic influenced that, though, so you gain some, well, then you'll eventually lose some and then gain it once again. But going back to the championship, you expect Trano to be strong next week. And Simpson, with the technical, however you want to say it, collaboration, however you want to put it, don't count him out either. He showed some excellent pace last week at Iowa. So this championship, 3-way battle, maybe even a 4-way battle. Let's not forget about Pavelski having a great run here in 2nd.
Indeed, so you've got yourself Mikel de Jong running in P number 5, trying to catch up to the rear of Christopher Demeritte. We're just going to ride ourselves along board then with Mikel de Jong in that number 5 Mad Cape Racing Team car underneath the Westwood Insurance Bridge. He can come now. You see the gap to Demeritte out front is 9/10 of a second. It's actually come right down there because of the fact that Demeritte just so far offline trying to get himself past lap traffic. We'll cycle that camera back and you'll see that Brandon Trainer is 1.1 seconds to the rear. And that last time by, 108.9 for Demeritte, 108.9 for De Jong, 108.4 for Brandon Trainer. But at this track, never a truer word is spoken than this one. Catching is one thing, passing is another.
Well, quite indeed. We saw that when Simon tried to make that move in the penultimate turn and force the issue with aggressiveness that didn't pay off for him. Michael de Jong has been hounding Christopher Demeritte for a while here. So he was up as close as a 1/3 of a second within striking distance, made a couple of moves, but has since fallen back. But he needs to be very careful here because Trano is closing in, and he could very well find himself on defense.
Yeah, as you can see there, 0.6 of a second is the gap between those two drivers as they battle it out inside of your top 5. One of the best battles that we've got on track right now. Having a look down the field, and this is what we expect at this racetrack. It will, over time, start to separate itself out. It's what we always see at Mid-Ohio. It gives us a quick opportunity to give a shout out to And1 Design. They are the official provider of our aerial coverage here today, and also the iRacing Forum app for Android. If you are an iRacing member and you have yourself an Android device, make sure you download the iRacing Forum app for Android. Cover our on-board coverage. Well, we were talking about that a moment ago, Aaron. You know, this is a racetrack where you get yourself separation on these long green flag runs. We do expect parts of this field to come back together, though, in the final stint. For example, I'm thinking the likes of Pagano Davies, that will come back together. Having a look down the field, the likes of Jack Turner, Andy Crosno, Martin Miller will likely come back together. Just to give you an update as well, John Porzik is out of the event. He is in P number 20 and out, Aaron.
Yeah, and I'm really eyeing this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Where this battle is going to come out, and maybe the other battle between Davis and Pagano, timing your last pit stop is critical. One thing you want to look, are there any lap cars in front of you? As soon as you enter that pit window, if you can pit and you're the 3rd car in line like Brandon Trano is, think ahead. If there's a gaggle of lap cars, pit before you get to them. Also, these crew chiefs are going to be looking not only at the cars in front, but what is the gap behind? Where are you going to blend in? It's one thing oftentimes you only look ahead. You also got to look behind, because if you're going to pit and come out in front of behind 4 cars, you need to stay out one more lap to try to build that gap. So pit timing is going to determine our 4th place finisher between Trano, Young, and Demerit.
Yeah. I like some of the comments that's been going on the YouTube page here today. Let's not say Bleacher Report. Let's actually say First Take itself, because let's be honest, no one can be worse than Stephen A. Amos, whatever his name is. He's so bad, I refuse to even think about his name. Trano on board of him though, number 15 machine, exit of that final corner. He will come now, he's catching. I think he should come on pit road early. I think that's the easiest way of doing it, Paul. He'll get himself the undercut, he'll get himself the track position. He knows he's faster, and realistically, he won't be able to catch any more time. He's 23 seconds behind Tim Holgate. Realistically, get it to the end of this lap, next lap, and just bring it on pit road. Work your own strategy. Don't worry about anyone else.
It is one strategy. Of course, Trano smells blood here, and we know that Trano is an aggressive driver, and pulling it into the pits, though that would be a very valid way of making up time on the track, even though you lose touch with this battle. It's a very chess move. Oh, look at this, and Demerit made a mistake, and Trano tries to make a move, but almost plubs into him.
Yeah, we're actually riding ourselves back on board now with Brandon Trano. You can see he's going to lose himself time all the way through the sequence of corners. Exit of China Bends, underneath the bridge, he will come down towards Carousel. Will he try and do a Pagano and sort of like car to the inside? By the way, it was Stephen A. Smith who's one that I was after, who of course is the most gifted person in the history of ESPN. Exit of the final corner. Brandon Trano in that number 15 Broken Arrow racing car down in towards turn number 1. He will come again. He should have come on towards pit road that time, Barry Aaron.
Absolutely. And when you do make your pit stop, you are going to use every button you have to push to pass. You're not actually pushing to pass them.
I'm interrupting you. We're getting word that there are difficulties. Okay, we're back. There were some issues for a moment there. Technical gremlins for Alex Simpson, but he is back. It did look as though for a moment it could have been game over for Alex Simpson.
And he's
bringing that car on towards pit road there. So he is with us once again. We ride ourselves on board with Alex Simpson. He comes on towards pit road, but back to you, Aaron.
Yes, going back to Trano, you're going to pit, and then you have to run qualifying laps with the push to pass. You have to beat your competitors' times. You're going to be a little bit heavier on fuel, but maybe the push to pass is going to compensate for that. You also have fresher tires, but if you're just cruising around behind them and you pit with them, your odds of passing them on the racetrack are very small.
As they can see, Alex Simpson out and away there. Just to give you an update, Stephen A. Smith is the guy from ESPN. He's not a sim racing driver. Alex Simpson is out and away. Matt Pavelski now leads away in that Broken Arrow number 75 car. Now, unlike the first stint, as Trano is now on towards pit road, so he has, it's almost as if he's listening to our broadcast here, and he's got the call from his team. He's out and away, and that's the pit stop time, 10.4 seconds. He's good to go to the end of this event. From here on in, Paul, of course, the longer you can leave this final pit stop, the shorter your pit stop time will be. That's the only way that Pavelski and Holgate can close this one out. As if they can go 4, 5, 6 laps longer and make this a splash and dash at the end. But actually, Pavelski's in, Holgate's in. Let's make that entire last comment moot.
And I'm going to ask a question here. How long was Brandon Trano's pit? Was it 10.5 seconds?
Well, Pavelski then is going to come out, and you're going to have Holgate right there behind him, almost side by side, as they come out of pit road. But of course, Pavelski would always have himself the initial line. Will Holgate do what he tried to do last time by get on the button immediately? He's pushing, and now it's going to be exciting to see what will happen when they come out of the keyhole. Holgate, and that's Name Pit Racing car. He wants to get past Pavelski. He's been waiting. He goes wide on the exit of the keyhole, and that will cost him for the second time in a row, Aaron, the chance for Holgate to get himself up one position.
Yeah, his opportunity isn't quite finished. Obviously, he would have wanted to have done it then, but 3 lap cars in front, you can use them as a pick depending on where they go. So Holgate has to stay right underneath the rear wing of Pavelski to have any chance at this. Holgate's car looks to be a little bit more stable through this middle section. Pavelski's car just has a little bit more straightaway speed, it would appear, as Pavelski's a little bit slow. Does Holgate go to the inside? No. Pagenaud would have been brave enough to make that move. Holgate stays in line and is going to live to see another lap.
Well, of course, Pagenaud's not fighting for a championship right now, so maybe if he was, he might have thought a little bit differently about it. Through turn number 1 then, these two drivers still separated by pretty much nothing. 13 laps of this event to go. Pavelski last time by, well, it was an outlap. His outlap actually was half a tenth slower than Tim Holgate's. Down in towards turn number 4, 5 they come. Trying to bend, going to hit us once again. And I'm going to have to keep an eye. Of course, we don't know, Paul, how many uses of the button they have. So, it's going to be a case of, are they going to basically burn them all out? We don't know. Then they could use them. For all we know, Pavelski's been saving them so he can defend from anything Tim Holgate will give him.
Well, we know Pavelski used at least one of them, so he's got a few left. We don't, of course, up in the booth again. We don't know who's using the button, who's not using the button. We can only speculate by the reaction of the car. I wanted to mention Brandon Traino looked like he had a 10.5-second pit stop. Might have had a little damage done to his car from the last shunt, and that might cost him. But this battle with Tim Holgate and Pavelski, definitely what we've got to watch here. But this whole thing going on only at 1.5 seconds behind Alex Simpson.
Yeah, they have closed up to Alex Simpson. The reason why, 7.5-second pit stops for both Pavelski and Holgate, 8.5 second for Alex Simpson, and also last lap was miserable. It was half a second slower for Alex Simpson as it stands. There you can see is Brandon Traino, who we said had a 10.4-second start. But let's have a look. We're going to try and get our camera. There we are, behind the trees, and there you can see Alex Simpson in at that number 14 car. And the Apex Racing UK machine, 1.2 seconds, maybe, oh, just maybe, Aaron, Alex Simpson with a longer stop. You have to think he definitely got the fuel in, but maybe he's just a little bit worried. He came on pit road earlier, don't forget.
And no, that would be just a catastrophic mistake. You don't really want to put yourself in a position to save fuel, and we'll get a reading this time by to see what his lap was. Maybe lap traffic hindered him somewhat. This time by a 107.4 compared to a 107.4. So, well, let's go down to the hundreds. A 4.4 for Simpson, a 4 flat for Pavelski. So Pavelski is closing. So this race, what we thought might have been a Simpson runaway, Pavelski's found another gear, and we may have another battle like we saw at Barber.
Yeah, and we're going to ride ourselves on board there. You can see Holgate is looking scruffy. He's dropped back half a second this lap already over Matt Pavelski. A lot of it came down to turn number 1. You just caught it on the side of your screen. You noticed that he went very wide down into that first corner, and that cost him a lot of momentum in that Snaky Pick Racing car. He is currently down in P number 3. A second between P1 and P2. A second between P2 and P3. Opal, let's get the band out and let's get a grandstand finish here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And here we thought we wouldn't see any action. Nope, 16th Street delivers again, and here we go. You know, and to point out with Tim Holgate, that is what we consider a very minor error, and it cost him darn near a second behind Pavelski. That is a lot of time to make up, especially since Pavelski is driving like a man possessed.
Yeah, 107.3 will. 107.3 compared to a 107.3 compared to a 107.7. Either Pavelski's using all his push to pass, or he made an adjustment or found the line, or Simpson is either thinking about tires or needs to save fuel. But right now, Pavelski's like a racehorse coming down the stretch, knowing he is right there and just a little bit more to take the lead at the line.
Or Simpson's like, well, I'll just save my push to passes for when I need to use them. And that one could be worth mentioning as well. Gary Borgenhagen, Tim Doyle, by the way. Separated by nothing. Borgenhagen.
Wow,
right in front of your leaders. There you can see the 099 machine. We'll try and get ourselves another look at that one if we can. But we talked about him And the curse of the commentators kick in. The 099 car trying to battle it out with Tim Doyle. Exit of the China Benz. And let's have a look, figure out what happened to him. He's just going to drop, I believe he's just going to drop a tyre on a white line. It's so easy to do here. And yeah, Borkenhagen exit then of the China Benz. Put the power down.
Oh, no.
Simpson!
Simple as that.
We have a lead change.
We got a pass.
Simpson
Pawelski
tried
got
to
Simpson.
pass Doyle. Simpson tried to late break Doyle, a lap car, almost made contact, went wide. Pavelski swooped to the inside for the first time this race on the track. We have a change for the lead.
Yeah, we're getting a replay of this one out now for you. So we're going to ride ourselves on board with Matt Pavelski. Broken arrow, battle and change of position for your race lead. Let's ride it along board with Matt Pavelski, and you can see there the driver Simpson going wide in relation to Tim Doyle. So Simpson losing the race lead as Pavelski now, but Broken Arrow becomes your third different leader of the day, but only the first lead change on the racetrack. The others was done through the sequence of pit stops. Matt Pavelski for Broken Arrow leads away, and we have got ourselves less than 10 laps to go of this event. Now we're going to see how many uses of the button Alex Simpson has, and also how many Tim Holgate has remaining, Paul.
And this could be the real game changer, because up to this point, Alex Simpson had no reason to use his push-to-pass buttons. Comfortably in the lead most of the race, and had really nothing to lose by just kind of riding along. It looks like Simpson may have used the button there because he closed in heavily on Pawelski on that straight.
Pavelski got loose.
In the meantime, yeah, and Pawelski got loose, but I think a combination of those two. But in the meantime, Holgate's kind of back in the game now. All of that scrapping back and forth has slowed them down just enough for Holgate to start sniffing blood.
Yep, so we're having a look then on board with Simpson. He was on the bottom the last time by. I was just having a look at the speed chart between those two drivers, and definitely Simpson was on the bottom. We had ourselves a great finish to the end of the Barber race. And looking as though the road courses were always destined for some great finishes here. Now, your top three drivers are separated by 1.7 seconds on track. And this is three drivers all scrapping it out for a championship. This is going to hurt Brandon Treno because he's all the way down in P number 6 right now. Gap between Pavelski and Simpson, 9/10 of a second. Let's have a look at the speed chart then. And let's have a look to see if Simpson will go on the button once again. Exit of the keyhole down towards the China Benz. Quite clearly you can see, yeah, Simpson is on the button once again. His top line speed just a little bit higher, but Pavelski, I think, there used one in defense as well. So Pavelski using the button, Simpson using the button. Holgate that time didn't use the button, we don't think. And again, it's just the way it is. You know, as they have in the Verizon IndyCar Series, we as broadcasters cannot see how many uses of the button they've got left. Only the driver and the teams will know that one. Simpson, a second back, and it just seems to be destiny for Simpson sometimes that he can't seal the deal. And it's just one moment here today, Aaron, that was the difference maker. 6 to go at the line, and it was just one moment. Tim Doyle brushing wide at the keyhole. Simpson just trying not to make too much of an issue, pushes wide himself, and with that, Pavelski says, thank you very much. I'll take this race lead away.
And that's exactly what Pavelski was doing. He was getting closer, and he forced Simpson to try to make that pass on Doyle. Could Doyle have given more room? Maybe, but Simpson came from so far back. I know as a driver, I wouldn't be expecting a leader to come from that far back to the inside. They're running their own race, and that's why you have to apply the pressure to force that mistake. And now Simpson, well, we've seen this before at Barber, as he now stalks Pavelski. Pavelski has a lap car. He needs to be careful not to fall into the same trap.
Yeah, and Aaron, it's interesting to note that time by Holgate closed up just a little bit, but all of these guys seem to be using the button at the same time. And what it means is everyone's just doing a faster lap time. Oh, traffic ahead there. That was, I believe, Michael Peters. We'll keep an eye out on it. We'll keep an eye because he did come on towards pit road. All is okay. It was actually Bradley Walters in the 056 car trying to come on towards pit road, but that's backed this pack up now. And we've got Simon Pagenaud turned around as well. Pagano in the number 22 machine, turn around, and that Team Penske number 22 car. But we're going to stick it with your race lead. Out the keyhole they will come. This could well be a drag race to the China Bend. 3 drivers separated by 1 second. Is anyone going to make a move? Simpson is looking close as he comes down to the inside. No, not yet, Paul.
That button again with Simpson. I really think he's got more push to passes than Pawelski at this point, but they're all blocked up right together. I want to point out, this is Mid-Ohio. Every corner could be a game changer at this place, and we've seen it so many times. Every corner here, it could be a game changer, and it looks like Holgate's really on the back of Simpson now.
Yeah, and there you can see our aerial coverage brought to you by And One Design. Nothing in it. It is literally you put a piece of string between these 3 tires and push them around the racetrack, pull them around the racetrack even, as they now head themselves 4 laps to go at the line, separated. Oh my word! Oh my word, your leader spins it there. Pavelski from the race lead spins the car with 4 to go. Simpson and Holgate somehow avoid, but what drama here at Mid-Ohio again. We're down to 2 drivers in this event for the race lead, and I think we've still got more to come. We'll have a look at a replay of Pavelski in a moment. We're just going to check to see first if Holgate's going to use the button. It doesn't look as though he is going to get much advantage. He is using the button, but he's not going to gain anything. Let's then get ourselves a look. This is Matt Pavelski, and this is down at the end of the last lap. We're just going to have to rewind our tape just a little bit there to be able to get it for you. But we'll keep an eye on the race lead as well. Matt Pavelski from the race lead. You don't often see him making mistakes, but he did here today. And what a shame, because he had made the pass on the racetrack. And Pavelski now down into P3. He didn't hit anything, Paul. That's the important part. But for Pavelski, heartbreak in what could have been his first big 16th Street Racing League win.
And turn 13 claims another victim. That turn... You and I have both driven this car on this track, and by far and away, that is the hardest one to get right every time, especially under the pressure that Pawelski was under. He knew those 2 guys were right on top of him. He knew he had to get the power down as fast as he could, and he just made just one tiny mistake, and that's all it takes at this place.
Yeah, he'd actually lost it before he'd come out the corner. You see the car just fishtailing there. At this point, look at how close it was. It was a last-second decision. And actually, Simpson, Alex Simpson did tag the side of that car. Holgate has not got any damage. He was able to get through without incident. But the number 75 machine, and Matt Pavelski, well, he is still in the race. That's the important part. But the replay showed us that we did see a little bit of damage potentially to Simpson. 2 laps to go at the line. Has Holgate got anything in the tank? He is pushing this car at every single apex. He's been almost off track 4 times on this lap. 2 to go, 7 tenths of a second. Aaron, it's time to call the band up, because this is going to be incredibly fun.
It's, I know we all said after Barber, how could it get any better? But that 3-way battle, and definitely Alex Simpson is nominated for the Evasion of the Year. Very interesting to see their 2 different lines through the keyholes. Simpson really gets out of there a lot better, but I think you are right. Simpson has more push to pass in the bank than anybody else. Look at that gap, probably 20 car lengths now as they enter the right-hander.
Yeah, and I was just having a look at the lap, the speeds down into the China Bend. It looks as though that Holgate didn't have anything left. It looked as though that Simpson, he had himself about a 5 km/h straight line speed advantage down into the China Bend section of the racetrack. So that potentially is saving Simpson. We'll get an update about damage at the end of this event from Simpson. Demerit battling it out of Brandon Traino, P4, P5. Traino up into P4 once again then. So Traino doing it on the racetrack at the end of this event. We'll get ourselves another look at that one once this is said and done. But Demerit actually looking back to the outside there of his teammate Traino. Traino will hold on down into the China Bend, but the white flag is out. Demerit is off. We'll come back to that one.
Back on.
We'll come back to that one in a moment's time, because the gap is half a second between P1 and P2. They come through the keyhole for the final time. Holgate gets a bad run out the corner, and that is his chance of victory pretty much now done. He had himself a good run through Sector 1, messed up the keyhole. Half a second, it's not going to be enough unless this traffic ahead is going to do anything to this event, and we know
Ohio.
traffic can well be a factor. Half a lap to go. Simpson, does he have damage? Does he have enough fuel? Can he get to the end of this event? Holgate, 3 tenths of a second. That is going to be Miller just getting completely out of the way. I don't blame him that one for a second. So it'll be Simpson. Now just a couple of corners to go. Holgate in P number 2 into the carousel for the final time. And it looks as though there's no way through there for Tim Holgate. Alex Simpson out the final corner. Nose to tail at the line. Simpson will win here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Our closest ever finish on a road course. And at the line, it was 0.147 one thousandths of a second. Incredible stuff. Pavelski will hold on for P number 3. Of course, he spun, lost the lead with less than 10 laps to go. What a race we have just seen. We're just having a look there. We'll give you an update. Trainer does indeed come home in P number 4. We want to have a look, though, at your Verizon game-changing moment of the event. And it was this one for Matt Pavelski. As we're going to just have a look at it one more time. There we are. Matt Pavelski in that number 75 broken arrow machine. Well, he could have won the race. He was under pressure, of course. But Matt Pavelski will have to settle the bottom step of the podium. The good thing is to him, he was able to keep the car on the racetrack when all was said and done and bring that car home to the line. But what a crazy finish we've had to this event. Paul, they say IndyCar road racing is boring. Excuse me?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that has got to be the most exciting finish I've seen to a road race in a very, very long time. 16th Street delivers again. These guys, I really think, just have that championship spirit in them, and I got to say, that was exciting to watch.
Well, let's get yourself a look at your final race results. Don't forget the Racer post-race show comes up after this. But look at that. 0.147 between Alex Simpson and Tim Holgate, up to 45 laps worth of racing. Now that is a bona fide 0.147. There's no cautions in that one. There's nothing else. That was 2 drivers at the top of their game battling. Matt Pavelski comes home after his spin 8.3 seconds back. Brandon Traino comes past and he comes home in P number 4 when all was said and done. That will be a big boost to his championship hopes after, of course, his spin down at the China Bend. Mikel Dion, Mad Kate Racing Team P5. Christopher Demerit, a late race spin. He comes home in 6th. Then Davis in 7th. Pagano in 8th. Tim Doyle in 9th. And then Gary Volkenhagen rounding out your top 10. There you have a look then. P11 through 20. We had ourselves 19 finishes to the race here today. 5 retirees and 1 non-starter. John Porzik is the first driver classified as out of the event. And you can see also Michael Peters, Christian Steele, Carl Kaiser, Brandon Trost all out. Brandon Trost's championship realistically now done for the season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in one moment's time with the Racer post-race show. You're watching RaceSpotTV on IndyCar.com and on iRacing Live. Don't you dare go anywhere, because we'll be right back. Good evening and welcome to the Racer post-race show here on RaceSpotTV, iRacing Live and IndyCar.com. And the road courses, once again, are just spellbinding in the 16th Street Racing League. We've had 2 of them so far. Barber Motorsports Park was a feast to behold, and here today, 2 drivers finishing within 1.5 tenths of a second of each other after 45 laps worth of racing around the beautiful Mid-Ohio sports car course. Gonna get a word with our race winner in just one moment's time, but before we do that, Paul, what a race. Once again, these guys on the road course deliver.
Well, we were expecting some good things out of the Alex Simpson, Tim Holgate thing, and that certainly delivered in spades tonight. That was some great racing every lap. You just didn't know from lap to lap who was going to be crossing that start-finish line first, and just exciting action all the way through this thing.
Well, we have got ourselves now a word on the Racer post-race show to speak to your race winner, Alex Simpson. What a crazy day it's been. You led the first part of the race. You led 34 laps overall. Then the keyhole, yourself, Tim Doyle, it almost went wrong. And then you had to deal with the person that overtook you for the race lead, spinning literally right in front of you out of the final corner.
Yeah, it's a great race. We felt pretty comfortable at the start there, and yeah, unfortunately we made a little bit of extra work for ourselves on the last pit stop. We had some connection issues, and the spotter couldn't quite adjust the fuel, so we were carrying way too much fuel on that last stint, and yeah, it delayed us in the pit as well, so we lost some time there, and thought we'd be okay, and then we just caught Tim just at the wrong place. I was expecting him to check up down the straight, really. There was no one around him. I thought we would he'd let the leaders go through there, and yeah, so I sort of stuck my nose in there and got it chopped off a little bit, so it caught me by surprise, and yeah, and Matt slipped by, and really I was just I was a little bit worried. I thought, well, how am I going to close him down on carrying all this fuel? And I just thought, well, just qualify and lap it as much as you can and try and keep on his tail, put the pressure on, and yeah, it was quite funny. We spoke before the start of the race that corner there would make or break, and yeah, so to see Matt spin there, I had just about enough time to react and get around him as well, so yeah, happy to get the win. I made much hard work out of that though.
Well, we saw that push to pass seemed to be an important part of this event. We noticed that you didn't really use much of it at the start. Did you have enough in reserve at the end to try and go back for the victory had Pavelski not have spun?
I had about 7 left when Matt went past me, so I had plenty left. But I did start to deploy him quite heavily because obviously I knew that I was heavy, so I was just trying to negate the time loss there and just keep the pressure on him. I had a couple left after Matt spun just in case Tim had a little run or we come up against any traffic again, but yeah, I didn't really need to use them. I just deployed them on the last lap just down the straights just to be safe.
Now next time we're going to see you in action will be in a week's time. That will be at the Milwaukee Mile. It's always an oval, which I say is the driver's oval, because it's one that can be very difficult for oval racers to adapt to. I often see road racers come in and pick that track up immediately. Is Milwaukee a track that you think is your best chance to win on an oval this season?
Yeah, I quite like the short tracks, those ones that, and trying to think of the is it New Hampshire, very similar sort of style. Yeah, I really get on well there, and I think actually Milwaukee and New Hampshire were like the first sort of couple of wins I got in the official series, so yeah, they've been good to me there. Hopefully the sets we've got from last season will carry over and will be strong, and we can just improve them a little bit. And yeah, like I say, we need to really get on with the oval side. I mean, we've been strong recently on the ovals, but these last 2 races have been a bit of a mare for us. So if we're going to have a serious run at this championship, we need a good strong finish there. And like you say, I think anything less than a win at Milwaukee is just is not going to do. So it's a bit of pressure on, but we're going to go for it.
Well, before we let you go, Alex, anyone want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just give a quick shout out to you guys, really. It's late here, Will, so, you know, stay up. That's dedication tip for you. And just all the sponsors at Apex Racing, my old man for spotting, and Brandon, really, he did all of the legwork on the setup this week. I haven't been around at all. First bit of testing was late last night, so he built the set, and yeah, he did a great job on it. So, yeah, big shout out to him.
Well, thank you very much, Alex Simpson, race winner here today. Aaron Likens is stood by as the Racer post-race show continues, and he is with Tim Holgate.
Tim Holgate, what a race. Barber was intense. This race didn't come out on top, but take us through your race on what was a very entertaining race to watch.
Well, let's first off, congratulate Alex on a fantastic win. Congrats to him and Apex Racing UK. That was a really hard-fought battle. It's the exact opposite of what happened at Barber. Basically, instead of him chasing me down, I was chasing them down at the end there, and you couldn't have. There were moments there where you couldn't get a piece of paper between the front of my car and the back of Alex's car, and the back of Pulowski's car and the front of Alex's car. It was tight, and you don't normally see that at Mid-Ohio at the end of a 45 green flag run. That was some fantastic racing. Our race went a little bit off kilter with the conditions. We weren't set up good for how cloudy it was, so we got beat pretty bad on the straights most of the time. But it panned out at the end of the run where we were fast. Problem is, at the end of the run, if you still can't pass, it's no good. So we just missed the setup a little bit, missed qualifying. If we'd started up front, first or second, I think we could have avoided some of the things that almost wrecked us today. But all in all, I mean, to get second here after starting fourth with that crowd, I'm really happy. Great finish for the team. Just can't say how great it is to have this strong of a field up front. We're having some really fantastic racing, and any one of these guys are championship contenders and contenders to win a race.
Mentioned one of the close calls, lap 16, Brandon Trano spins in front of you. Did you make contact, and were you thinking at that point in time your race was over?
Well, I apologize for the smell. I haven't had a chance to switch out of the race suit yet, but yeah, we had the team looking at the wing. Front wing did touch a little bit, but we did a lap or two. I adjusted the tools some, but it turned out that there wasn't any real major damage, so we didn't even change the wing at the stop. We were able to continue on pushing. Didn't seem to affect our race at all. It was just a scary moment that kind of cost us some time to Alex, but we made that ground up later on due to traffic or some issues that Alex was having.
Final 10 laps, you're in third. Pavelski then spins. You then close in. Was there anything you could have done? That is, I think, our closest finish at .14. Was there any way to make that 1.4 be in your favor?
Hey, I needed a mistake from Alex, and he just didn't make one. I mean, it was tit for tat. I didn't make one at Barber, and now he hasn't made one here at Mid-Ohio, so you can't complain too much. We kind of burned the rear tires out a little bit, pushing Pulowski at the very beginning of that stint. So we kind of lost the goodie there and didn't have enough to really push in the dirty air. But there wasn't. He was just driving too well to be passable regardless.
Well, entertaining show. A flip-flop of our Barber finish, yet two amazing competitors. Who would you like to thank here tonight?
I definitely want to thank the team, thank the league. You guys are putting on the broadcast. It's great to go back and watch and see how things turned out with other racers going back over it. So thanks for all the guys and all the work you guys do.
And looking forward to Milwaukee next week. Thoughts going to the mile?
Well, we usually do pretty good at the short ovals. I'm pretty happy with that track. We always come out good off the truck, so we'll see if we can keep it on. Just got to start at the front there because it's very, just like this track, it's very difficult to pass there, so track position is going to be a big deal.
Well, that's Holgate's third finish in 4 races. First, second. Almost for 3 finishes, 3 wins, but can't complain. Holgate off to a good start. Second place here tonight.
Indeed, so, and to round out your podium here on the Racer post-race show, going to hand it over to Mr. Paul Jenkins with Mr. Matt Pavelski.
And Matt Pavelski, man, I tell you what, that was an incredible race to watch, and I imagine driving it was just as crazy. I want to talk about 2 things here. First of all, at the start of the race, you showed some pretty heavy aggressiveness. The 4 of you in the front were real tight through the first turn, and you showed some heavy aggressiveness in the first couple of laps of the race. Walk me through that start.
On the start, I was just trying to keep with Alex and Brandon. I was trying to just get single file through to the first corner. I got a really good run, and I noticed Tim did as well, so I was a little bit worried that if I didn't, if I backed out and tried to get single file, that Tim would get by me. And then heading into the first hairpin, I thought that I was too wide. I wouldn't have gone to the outside of Alex otherwise. My spotter on iRacing said that I had, 1 car inside. and I assumed it was Alex. That's pretty much what I get for assuming. And yeah, I mean, whatever happened on that first few laps, I mean, I wasn't really trying to make it aggressive. I was just trying to maintain my position, or I thought I was in a situation that I wasn't. So it was basically just me driving like an idiot.
And you did manage to effect a pass at lap 4 on Tim Holgate finally through all of that and get back to your third place. I did notice that, let's talk about in general, for Mid-Ohio, unforced errors. You get some, you lose some, but obviously the unforced error towards the end of the race is what bit you. Did you see a lot of guys making a lot of mistakes out there, and how was your advantage to that early on?
For the most part, I didn't really notice a lot of, big mistakes. I think the only big mistakes that I saw involved timing lap cars. Like, that's how I got around, I don't know if Eric was a lap car, but I got around Brandon Treno because he didn't really time the lap car correctly. And then there's a few other moves, I think, on Alex where, again, it was just bad timing for him. So, I mean, there weren't really any, big egregious mistakes like the one I made out of the last corner. So, I mean, for the most part, it was just trying to capitalize on what little mistakes you could find.
And what did happen at that last corner? Was it a matter of just getting the power down too early, or was there something going on?
I just ran out of talent.
All right. You managed to hold on to third place here, so should be good for the points. You're going into Milwaukee next week. Certainly a very interesting track from a driver's perspective. How do you feel going into next week?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, last time I ran there, last season, I think I ran, relatively well. I would have liked to have come out of here on top. I mean, I kind of threw it away. But, I'll take the podium and hopefully gather what little momentum comes from the little mistake I had there and try to carry it into Milwaukee. I like the track. It's a technical oval, so it should be a lot of fun.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun to watch and call, too. Anybody you wanted to give a shout-out before we head on?
I'm going to give a shout-out to Alex and Tim for their amazing reaction times in my moment of sheer terror and or panic coming out of the carousel. And I'd also like to thank Broken Arrow and Apex, Brandon, Alex, Krista Merritt for all their help in getting ready for this week.
Matt Pavelski, a third-place finish after a very exciting last couple of laps, and Will, back up to you in the booth.
Indeed so. We've got a couple of people left to talk to here on the Racer post-race show. We're going to start with the driver who came home in P number 4. That is Brandon Treno for Broken Arrow Racing. And, well, Brandon, it seemed to be that everything was going okay. Then the China Benz hit.
Yeah, it was going really good. We had the pole for a while, and then Alex beat us out by a little bit. And to be that little bit off Alex is incredible. He's been coaching me a lot this season on the road courses, and it really showed off. But yeah, we had an incident in that carousel corner, and kind of just went downhill from there. Just bent the rear suspension a little bit, knocked the toe out of alignment, so I really couldn't get through the left-handers. Kept wanting to step out, so
Welcome back to the Racer post-race show. We have no idea what just happened there, but we stood by with Brandon Treno. So yeah, at the point that we lost you, you said that you'd come out of pit road, you got things sorted out, and of course then it was the case of getting yourself back up for the field as much as you can.
Yeah, we were able to catch Demerit and Mitchell at the right time and got up to 4th with about 2 laps to go, I believe, and had enough push to passes to get around them and then hold them off. So all in all, I guess 4th place really isn't that bad of a finish. It's a good points day, and I was actually able to finish a race for a while.
Well, you got yourself a finish, which is the important thing. You come home in P4. Next time out, we go to the Milwaukee Mile, which is a racetrack which we know that you guys are traditionally exceptionally strong at. How do you think that race will pan out? Because tire wear, marbles, everything is going to be so important.
Yeah, like you said, we've always been quick there. Always have the good setup. We've hit on something a couple seasons ago, and we've been able to been transferring it over every season. So hopefully the setup continues to be strong and fast, and we can maybe get a 1, 2, 3, or at least get the win again. That'd be great.
Well, before you let you go, Brandon, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, all the guys at Broken Arrow, as always, all the guys at Apex Racing UK. Alex has been coaching me on these road courses a lot, and I've been helping him on the ovals, and it's really showing. So, shout out to him, and then shout out to just everybody who's been supporting us. Shout out to my dad. I didn't say this the first race, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. I never would have gotten into racing, but he's taught me everything I know. So, just big shout out to everybody who's been supporting me.
Run trainer there coming home, P number 4 in today's event. And finally, gonna hand it back over to Aaron, who stood by.